So last night I got the chance to go see the new movie 28 Years Later, which is of course a sequel to the movie 28 Days Later as well as 28 Weeks Later. And this movie follows a group of survivors 28 years later, after a rage virus wreaks havoc across England. I haven't seen the other two movies in this franchise, but I was pretty optimistic considering that original director Danny Boyle and original writer Alex Garland came back to the well to do this one. Danny Boyle, since doing 28 Days Later, has gone on to win an Oscar. He's directed many movies since then. Alex Garland, you may know him for his directorial work now, most recently Warfare earlier this year, as well as Civil War last year, which I quite liked. And I can see why they returned back to this franchise, because the story in this movie is probably the best part about it. There are very rich, deep themes in here. At its core, this movie is a coming-of-age story about this young boy growing up in this small community post-apocalypse. Throughout the movie, it becomes clear the passage of time that there are certain things about the old world from the early 2000s that this kid has never even heard of. At one point, he's out on the actual mainland with his father, and his father picks up a frisbee, and the kid has no idea what on earth it is. They're dealing with a lot of familial drama throughout the movie, and near the end of this movie, it takes you to an emotional place that I wasn't prepared for, and I think is probably one of the hardest things to do in a movie, right? At the end of the day, in a movie, you're trying to hook your audience to buy into these characters, buy into these stories, and believe that it's all real, and it took me to an emotional point that I wasn't prepared for by the end, which told me that there was really good storytelling going on here. And I think it's a testament to the performances why the story comes across so well, and you can't talk about the performances without first bringing up Alfie Williams, who plays the kid in this movie, Spike. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but judging by the trailers, I assumed that Aaron Taylor Johnson was going to be the main character in this movie, and don't get me wrong, he's in a good chunk of this movie, but he pretty much takes a back seat in the back half of the movie, and this movie's main character is his son, Spike. And Alfie Williams, he's like, I looked it up, he's 14 years old, so that means that he was like 13 whenever they shot this movie. He's doing some incredible work on screen, because if he's not doing his job well, this movie does not work. And he's acting alongside Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, Jodie Comer. These are some heavy hitters. Ralph Fiennes was just nominated for an Oscar a few months ago, and this kid, I really bought into his character. He has to do a lot of things beneath the surface with this movie. His character is dealing with a lot of drama with his dad, deep issues with his mother, and I thought that he really pulled it off. Really fantastic performance by him. And going deeper into the performances, I also thought that Jodie Comer was fantastic in this movie. She is one of the most underrated actresses in Hollywood. I loved her in The Last Duel several years ago, and she is excellent here. Very, very, very different performance from her, but I really enjoyed her in the movie. Ralph Fiennes isn't in a ton of this movie. He's probably in about 20-25 minutes of it, if I'm being generous. But, he's Ralph Fiennes. One thing that I really appreciate about him is that he can go and do a Conclave and get nominated for Best Actor, but he's not above being in 20 minutes of a post-apocalyptic zombie thriller movie. And he's fantastic here. Aaron Taylor Johnson, while he wasn't really in much of the second half of the movie, I really did enjoy his character. He's good in everything that he does, and I was happy to see him on screen. I thought the dynamic between him and Alfie Williams was really good too. They have great chemistry. If we're talking about the creatures, the things that they call the alphas are terrifying, and you learned very quickly in the movie that you should not deal with them. They are bigger, they are smarter, they aren't just zombies that will run after you, right? Like, part of the thing about the zombies in the 28 Days, Weeks, Years Later franchise is that they're fast, like they're scary, they're not slow. You have to actually run, and they will come and get you. They're probably the scariest zombies out there, but the alphas just bring it up a notch because they are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're smarter. If one of those things is coming after you, you have to get really creative with how you deal with them. And the action scenes too, with the exception of one, were also very compelling, very well done. I was very, very pleased with the action in this movie. And I was also really excited with where this movie left off. If you guys don't know, there's actually a sequel that's already wrapped production. It comes out in January. It's called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I'm pumped to see what they do with Jack O'Connell's character. If you guys don't know that name, he was the bad guy in Sinners this year, and he's just going on a tear with these horror movies right now because You know, we don't see a lot of him in this movie, but I can already tell he's going to be really, really great in the role that they cast him in for the Bone Temple. But this movie, it made me really excited to see the sequel. And then, of course, the third movie. There's a lot of deep themes that go unresolved by the end of this movie that I'm excited to see explored further in the sequel. Now, as for the things that I didn't like about this movie, there were a lot of holes in logic in this movie. One thing that I cannot stand is whenever people just make stupid decisions in a movie, and I realize that that's a part of life. People make dumb decisions, but some of the decisions in this movie, just, there's no exception for it. And I can't get into them that deep because I don't want to spoil the movie for you. I think it's a movie worth seeing, of course, but specifically with the character of Spike, there are one or two decisions in this movie where I have to remember he's a kid. Like, he's a kid being dumb. But it was just like, I was sitting there in the theater like, dude, what are you doing right now? This is so stupid. And I just can't stand it whenever there's logic holes in movies like this. And then without getting deep into spoilers, the kid Spike and his father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, they are separated for part of this movie. And I personally just didn't buy that the character Taylor Johnson is playing wouldn't just go search for his son. Like, that was something with his character that I thought was a fundamental flaw, that they perched him up to be a certain way. Someone that would go out where zombies are with his 12-year-old son, but then he's not going to go out just trying to find him, right? Like, I just didn't buy that he wouldn't do that. And also, I realized that this movie didn't have a $200 million budget, and maybe this was on purpose, but one of the action scenes in the movie just looked a little too off for me. It looked a little too grainy to the point where it just didn't compel me quite as much as the other ones. There's a specific sequence on a train. It blew my mind. It was great. But yeah, one scene, and if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And it was probably intentional, but just not for me. I just didn't think it looked all that great. Overall, you guys, I really enjoyed this movie. Was it the best horror movie I've ever seen? No. Was it the best horror movie that I've seen this year? No. But was it a solid movie, and did it have a compelling story? Absolutely. I thought the story was the best part of this movie. They go and they make a few choices with their zombies in the movie that I thought were very interesting. And again, this isn't a spoiler review, so I'm not going to reveal it, but I feel like it's going to polarize a few fans. But I personally thought it was interesting where they were going with it. And I personally cannot wait for the Bone Temple coming out in January. I am giving 28 Years Later a 3.5 out of 5, and you can check that out on my Letterboxd link down below. What did you think of 28 Years Later, you guys? Are you going to go out and see it if you haven't already? Leave me a comment down below, and thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.